and welcome back to my channel. So today I have another Sims 4 speed build for you, and this one was rather difficult because I decided I wanted to make a starter home. And if you've been around the channel for a while, you know that I'm not good with budgets. I just love adding a bunch of clutter and items, and so it's very hard for me to work on a budget. But you know what? I did it, but I will say it was difficult. It was very difficult. And actually, I'm not going to lie, I'm not even sure what's actually been recorded, because once I was done filming, it turns out that the little thing up in the corner that was keeping track of how expensive this build was incorrect. And so when I finished, it was more expensive than a starter home. It was like 21 or 22,000 simoleons. And I also thought that it was including the price of the lot, and it was not. So fun fact, I then had to go back and take out, well, several thousand simoleons worth of items. So it's fine. And then on top of that, I'm not going to lie, y'all, I didn't put a sink in the kitchen. And I realized that when I was playtesting it. So I had to add that in there too. So a few of the things are going to look a little bit different, but you know what? The spirit of the build is still there. And honestly, it was so funny. I end up getting out to landscaping, which does happen later on. But I did get out to the landscaping and I put a full-on fountain. There is a fountain in front of this home, and I don't know why, but I was obsessed with it. And I was like, I could get rid of this and save probably almost 1,000 simoleons, but I'm not going to do that. I am going to leave it there because I like it. But anyways, back to the actual portion of the build that we're working on here. I also decided that I wanted to have a fireplace. Why? I don't know. It just felt cozy and I wanted it. And I will say I do end up swapping out the doors. I do remember doing that because those were actually really expensive and I wasn't thinking about that. So we do swap those out later for some dark brown doors that are actually more within our budget. And I don't know why I struggled so much when I started building this bathroom. It could be because of the window that I placed there, which honestly, I fell in love with these windows and wanted to keep those. And we do end up keeping just kind of one of the freestanding showers. And what I mean by that is the one from either Snowy Escape or from the university pack. But I do end up swapping it out for the university one because that did save us a good bit of money. But I think everything else in here remained. I even kept the toilet paper. I came so close to getting rid of the toilet paper roll that I put on the wall because it costs 50 simoleons, which is so insane. And I also just FYI, if you are trying to make a cheaper home, what you can actually do is, in case you didn't know, the items you place on the lot depreciate in value once a sim is living there. So as a little trick or hack or whatever you want to call it, if you actually move a sim into the lot and just let go into live mode for 2 seconds, it actually makes things cheaper. So I actually did that several times as well, just desperately trying to get some simoleons back. But I thought I'd mention that in case you're ever trying to build a starter home and things are a little bit expensive. They can be a little less expensive if you go into live mode. So I end up putting some of the new bookcases we got from the Book Nook kit because I don't know why, I just really liked it. And I do end up swapping out that mirror as well because that ended up being 200 simoleons, and we swap it out for the lifestyle mirror, which I think still has the same spirit in this space. But honestly, I think that was the last thing I replaced because I didn't want to replace it. I was trying so hard to keep things kind of the same, and all of that testing I did at the very end, I did not record that. So like I said, when you go to the screenshots or when you download it off the gallery, it will look a tiny bit different, but overall, it does look the same. The laundry basket, we had to lose the laundry basket, which killed me. I mean, because I love clutter. I love clutter. If you know me, you know I love clutter. And it just felt so, correct to have that there, if that makes sense. But I do end up getting rid of it for the sake of simoleons. And what is up on the Sims 4 gallery is 18,445 simoleons, which means if you put this on a 1,500 simoleon lot, you are good to go. You will technically have a few simoleons left over so your sim can eat, but they're going to need a job. They're going to need a job immediately, or they're going to have to go and find stuff out in the wild that they can make money off of. of, but this is, like I said, it is a starter home, which I don't know why I decided that I really wanted to do that, but you know what, I did, so here we are. So of course I utilized a bunch of debug landscaping outside, which you'll see a little bit later. And I really wanted to use that Snowy Escape table, which I want to use it in a future build because I actually didn't know some of those swatches existed, but like I've made a mental note about wanting to use it. It just didn't fit quite well with this build. And I feel like this happens so much to me when I'm building and I'm like, where did this item come from? Like, or where did this swatch come from? It's like, it's been in the game. I just feel like I had no idea it was there. And I actually ended up finding, I think it was a get together window when I was doing this. I was like, I swear I've never seen this. So I think I'm going to try to use that in a future build. And so here's the thing. The kitchen ends up looking a little bit different. Well, okay, fine. A good bit different. Like I said, the spirit of the kitchen is still there. It's just, it doesn't look like that. So like I said, when I was playtesting it, I realized that your sim didn't have a sink in there, which is not necessary because I do have a sink in the bathroom, but I don't know. I was really attached to the idea of wanting to have like a full kitchen in here. And I have no idea why when I was building that, it just didn't occur to me. Like it never crossed my mind that there's not a sink in there. But there is one in there. And because I end up adding another counter and a sink, we actually end up swapping out the door as well to like the skinny door that we got with the Greenhouse Havens kit, which I think again still had that same look to it, but it just is a little bit smaller. And of course, you know, it's so funny if you've been around the channel, you know I've got to put a fruit bowl in my build, and that fruit bowl is like 200 simoleons. Why? I don't know, but it is super expensive. So I actually end up swapping it out. So I like this one better. Like I think the texture looks better, but I do end up later swapping it out for the cheaper one, which I'm glad I looked into that. And you can see I'm swapping out appliances, trying to make things a little bit cheaper, and it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't good enough. So we do swap some stuff out, and like I said, you'll see it in the screenshots and see exactly what was changed, but it still looks good. And I end up swapping out the TV as well because that ended up being a little bit expensive, and we end up going with that retro one that came with the basement kit that we got. Not the basement kit. Which one did we just get? Yeah, I think it was the basement kit. The basement treasures or whatever it's called, that kit. That is where the TV comes from that's going to end up actually in the build. And all of this landscaping is from Debug, which means it is free. And I'm not going to lie, I really love this planter box, but it had to go because of the walls and everything. So I got rid of that and replaced it with that like big wall thing I think that came with, I think it was Eco Lifestyle, but had all the plants on it. So again, I think it still looked really good there. And this is a space where I end up adding in the, what am I trying to say? The fountain. And I'm telling you, like, I know that I could get rid of it, and I know I could have gotten rid of some of the, like, paving out here, but I just didn't want to. I don't know. I feel like, you know, I said this was really difficult, but I think it's because I was just really stubborn when I was building it, because I really had this look in mind that I wanted, and I just, you know, I wanted it to be that way. But we do actually include a table out here. I do end up getting rid of one of the chairs. I'm telling you, I was very desperate for simoleons near the end. So we have 3 chairs out here, which is probably fine considering only one sim can live in here to begin with. Now, of course, you could swap that bed out for like a bunk bed, in which case you could have like 2 like sims here, you know, if you wanted to. So that's totally up to you. And this is already up on the Sims 4 gallery under my ID Spice and Sprinkle. All one word, all lowercase, and down in the description if you want to see it written out in case you want to play with it. And as usual, if you want to change some stuff up, feel free to do so. And if you have an idea of like who you want to live here, you know, be sure to let me know down in the comments. And you can see I'm like pushing that debug fence as much as I could to make sure like your sim could get through there. I do end up putting like a bench in the backyard, and actually I remember somebody suggesting like on a recent like the super tiny home that I made, it was like 18 I think tiles. I ended up having like a pool and everything. Somebody commented that maybe doing a tiny home but with just landscaping, so that's kind of what I was thinking about. But also I thought, you know what, since we're here, let's make it a starter home. And I really like the way it turned out. Like I said, I had to make a lot of compromises when it came to the items in the build once I figured out I was over budget, which again, like the game didn't tell me. And you can see, like, I'm not sure, it's really tiny, but up in the top corner, I had that open the whole time to see how much this cost, but it wasn't updating. Like, it apparently didn't keep track of it properly, and then, like, it's totally fine. And, you know, it worked out. And I really just wanted to create a starter home for you all so that you have something to download if you really do want to play, like, you know, with starter funds. And specifically, I decided I did the 20,000 simoleon starter funds. I know that if you do like in the Create a Sim, like the story or whatever they call it, that you can possibly get some more funds, but I wanted to go with just the 20,000. And like I said, I tried to keep in mind that a lot costs, at least a cheaper lot costs 1,500 simoleons. And this is actually the lot in Newcrest, the Oak Alcove, which this one and the one next to it are some of my favorite lots to build on. I don't know why. I just always feel like it's really sunny and pretty here. And I feel like some of the other lots and some of the other worlds, like it's just darker and it just like, I don't know. Oh, and I also know that I put lights out here and I could have gotten rid of those as well, but I didn't want to because I just really liked the way it looked, like everything was well lit. And we do lose the candle that is on that table because we just couldn't afford it. And it's totally fine. It's totally fine. So just kind of adding in that extra debug fencing to really just make this, like, to me, it almost looks like a courtyard. Do you know what I mean? Like I could almost envision a bigger lot with multiple of these houses on here. But anyways, that's just an idea if you want to create something like that. But if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And I hope you have a really sweet day. Bye, everybody.
I've been trying hard to keep my cool, but when you're near, there's nothing that I can do. When you're walking in, I know it's true.